This is Monocle on Design, a show where we unpack everything from architecture and craft to furniture and graphic design. I'm Nick Manise. On today's special episode, we visit an exhibition in Tokyo celebrating the creative genius of Tapio Wirkkala. It's centred around his Ultima Thule collection for Finnish heritage brand Iittala. All that coming up on Monocle on Design. Hello and welcome to this special episode of Monocle on Design, produced in partnership with Iittala. We're in Japan today, specifically at the Tokyo Station Gallery. It's here that a new exhibition is now open to celebrate the 110th anniversary of the late great Finnish designer Tapio Wirkkala. Produced by the Espoo Museum of Modern Art, the Tapio Wirkkala Bryk Foundation and Blue Sheep, the showcase is called The Sculptor of Ultima Thule. It's a title that refers to the iconic Iittala glassware line of the same name, which Wirrkala designed for the Finnish glassware specialists in 1968. Objects from this collection make up just some of the 300 Wirrkala works that are on display in Tokyo, alongside a host of archival material. Over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll delve a little deeper into this material and look at Wirkkala's life, artistic legacy, and influence on Japan. I will, of course, be helped by a panel of experts. Joining me are Petra Wirkkala, Managing Director of the Tapio Wirkkala Bryk Foundation, Janni Vepsäläinen, Iittala's Creative Director, and Tsuchida Takahiro, the Tokyo-based editor of ILMM Design Journal. We hear from Petra first.
This is, first of all, a really emotional moment for me. And being here in this space, again, 2019, Tokyo Station Gallery had an exhibition of Bryk about my grandmother, and you can't talk about Ruth just without mentioning Tapio. And it's the same, that you can't just talk about Tapio. There is also, Ruth is coming really closely, as you have been going through here in this exhibition spaces. So you have seen that Ruth is somehow presented.
So your family story is essentially being told tonight. You really kicked off also the exhibition with a lovely note about walking with your grandfather, Tapio. I mean, tell me a little bit about your relationship with the man behind this exhibition. I think it's also worth noting that we've sat Petra's family behind her so that she can't see them but I'm worried we've developed a bond that I'm going to make you cry. So
yeah, exactly. I have had so many tears in my eyes and I don't know where to look. And when we talked, so it was the same thing. Tapio, a man really productive, as you can see when you have been going here around. So master of all materials, glass, metal, plastic. He was like working all the time, if not with his hands, with his knife, the puukko, then in his mind. But most of all, he was grandfather for me. And it took years that I started to understand his legacy.
We've got a little bit of that legacy on show here today. I mean, tell us a little bit about this life he lived. There was Lapland, there was Venice. How did those experiences, these places he would travel to, these places he would spend time, obviously in Helsinki as well, how did this inform his work and what he was doing?
There was a kind of like circle of the year. So when the school did end and the summer holidays did start, the family packed the car, drove up to Lapland, and they spent the whole summer in Lapland. That was the place where Tapio and Ruth could concentrate completely other things and all the hassle that happened in their life when they were in the Helsinki area. And then when the school starts again, the family packed the car and drove back to south of Finland. And then it was like time to start to work again. It was time for the Iittala glass factory, then Frankfurt Fair, and Tapio did work for the Rosenthal porcelain factory. Then came the Venice longer period when he worked for the Venini. And then it was like getting calmer during the winter, maybe some weeks in the north of Finland, in Lapland. And then again it started the spring in Venice for the Venini.
How important are these, we're mentioning all these places here. How important was it that he actually went to Venice, went and saw Vanini, was working with Iittala in their factories? Like, why isn't he just sending a drawing and leaving them to it?
50s, 60s. so it was important, and he loved to work with all the skilled handicraftsmen, so he did appreciate a lot, because it's anyhow, if you don't know the language, you can draw, and you have like face-to-face communication, and there is a body language. So it was really important for him to work with the own modellier he did have in Rosenthal, and also the glass blowers, the Vanini, and also the masters at the Iittala factory. So it was like he was traveling, and the traveling wasn't so easy as it's nowadays.
There's a great story in the exhibition about him getting to Vanini early, arriving before the craftspeople to greet the craftspeople. Did he ever talk about his relationship with the people actually making it? Like, how much did he rely on them as much as they relied on him?
That was it was a cooperation. It was really tight cooperation. He didn't take the credit for himself. He always wanted to present with whom he was working with. So even when Rosenthal started to make glass, he took the Vanini glass blowers to Rosenthal factory, so to teach them. So it was really important for him to give the faces for the people with whom he was working with.
Throughout the exhibition, we kind of get glimpses into his life. There's his smoking pipe as well. I mean, what about him as a person and these objects that we're surrounding ourselves with in this gallery? I mean, can you separate the man from his craft, or did it all kind of fold in together?
There are so many stories. so many stories that when you're entering the exhibition, you can see like his office doors and the pipe, and even this kuksa, this wooden cup he did drink coffee, and how many coffee cups he has been designing. So really like modest in a way, taking ideas from nature, obviously, but also geometric was really important for him. So it's like the combination.
And it feels like there's an element of practicality, everyday life. We see an axe in here as well. We see knives. We see all these kind of objects. I mean, obviously, with the likes of Iittala, he made amazing, amazing glassworks. But there's also these kind of more functional, practical, everyday things.
Yes.
Why? If I can ask, if I can be so blunt.
Yeah, there's that. If he did notice that there was a need for something, so then it was easy to design that and put together the functionality and the beauty. So put those two together so that those would last years. I think that if you're thinking about his lights, so those are designed for these days.
There's also, obviously, you mentioned him also taking inspiration from place, and that's very much linked to, I guess, the title of this exhibition, Ultima Thule. We're going to move on to Janni in a moment, but I need you to sort of set her up here. I mean, tell us a little bit about Ultima Thule and the original piece that kind of then launched a glassware collection.
Ultima Thule, well, it's like it has been designed in 1968. It was a challenge for Tapio. The Iittala glass factory's glass mass was not so good, I'm sorry, but there was
got very good now. I need that to be known.
It's like years ago, but there was like impurities and bubbles, and also the factory wanted to hide the marks of the molds. So then Tapio got the idea how to move or transform the ice and floating water into the surface and get the pattern for it. And then 1969, the Finnair took the Ultima Thule for its flights. It was the first flight from Helsinki to New York. Then the story got the wings, and it's like Ultima Thule has been in different colors, different new models, and new materials. There is something in that, because our daughter is 3.5, and she absolutely loves the Ultima Thule, and she would love to have one in pink. So it's like there is something.
Are you giving Janni a brief right now? I think that's what we're getting. I mean, so as well, just to kind of paint the picture, obviously we don't have one in front of us right now, but these are glassware tumblers that I guess kind of look like melting icicles. Is that a fair description of it?
Yeah, if you drill a hole into the ice, I am assuming that, as you all know, you have been ice fishing. And
huge ice fishing in Australia. We're very big on ice fishing.
Yes, so when you're drilling a hole into the ice, there actually you can see the pattern and how it's transformed. So I think that Tapio, somehow he has been really master when transforming that.
Yeah, this thing from the landscape, this ice very fragile and turning into something very permanent. Iittala's glassware. I've lost the word for it. Glassworks is what I'm looking for right now. Petra, I'm going to bring Janni in now, but I mean, is there anything you feel people need to know about the exhibition? Anything you think we haven't touched on right now in this brief little interlude?
Well, for me, yesterday when I did enter into the first room and did go the exhibition around, I think that I can say that I know Tapio's production pretty well, but still it was amazing for me to understand and see again how productive he has been.
I could certainly be a bit more efficient. As I've seen from what's around me, I mean, there's this enormous collection of works and it's simply phenomenal. But obviously, Janni, there's a big part of it that goes hand in hand with Iittala and the work that the company made with Tapio at your glassworks. Let's zoom out a little bit and talk a little bit about your connection or your understanding of Tapio. Are there parallels? You come from a fashion background, you're now in design. Are there parallels between you and Tapio Wirkkala? If I can put you in that bracket. You don't have to say, I'm going to put you in that bracket, though.
Absolutely, Nick. And as you mentioned, yes, I have a background in fashion.
We just did a little bit of the CV there.
Yes. And I guess that's one of the biggest parallels, I would say. We are definitely most multidisciplinary creatives in that sense. I mean, if you look around here, you can see that Tapio was truly a designer of many materials. He worked for many different brands and he has had an endless curiosity towards design and creativity. And I think if somebody really understood that creativity should not know boundaries, even though it's easy to say, I think in the current world we sometimes forget that. And I hope that different parts of creativity, different creative industries could come together and really have that cross-pollination. And then another parallel I would say is the material. We clearly both love working with materials. My background is in knitwear design, which you might think, like, what is the parallel between...
I'm struggling. You're going to have to make that connection.
Between heritage glass brand and a knitwear. But actually there are fairly large amount of parallels. And I would say that it's absolutely working close to the material and working with the makers, as you mentioned, Petra. I'm myself at the glass factory every other week because I want to continue on that legacy. And I believe that no design classics would have ever been born if there wasn't that truly close collaboration between the designer and the artisans. And Tapio is a great example of that principle. And I really admire that philosophy.
I want to pick up a little bit on the link between materiality and design. Again, there's another mention of it in the exhibition here as you walk through, and how materials can inform and shape design. How does that play out at Iittala today? How is the way that glass moves in the glass works informing the work that you're doing now?
Well, glass, I think, as a material is quite sensitive. You really have to appreciate its way how it wants to act, and you can't really force it into anything that it doesn't want to be forced into. And of course, I'm no expert of glass blowing. I don't want anybody to think that I actually can master something on that field. Absolutely not. But I have so much respect for the glass blowers that we have at the Iittala factory. I think that is the beginning of any creative project. And I think working with glass or any material, you have to really have a vision. You have to have uncompromised creativity. And I believe Tapio, again, is a great example of that. He didn't make too many sacrifices. He stayed true to his vision. Ultima Thule, for instance, he handmade those first molds in graphite, which is a very difficult material to work into. But once those were done, then it was clear what he wanted from the products, and his vision was easier to then make alive into production. So there's another, I think, great example of a designer that I really admire.
But I think what's so fascinating, again, about the Ultima Thule and the work that Tapio did with that is, you mentioned there that glass, you can't force it to do something it doesn't want to do. And yet some of these works look like they've been very strongly convinced to do things that they didn't want to do. I mean, is there a mastery and understanding, I guess, the design as well as the material? How do they kind of come together? How do you make glass do things it seems to not want to do?
I think any good design product and design project comes from a challenge, right? If it was easy, we wouldn't be doing it, right? And I think it would make no sense. So, of course, there's always a challenge, and then you put yourself up to a task, and through trial and error, you hopefully come to an end conclusion. It might be completely different what you originally thought you wanted to do, but that goes with anything. The moment you pick a pen to just draw something, you have to accept the fact that it might turn out completely different what you wanted. And I think Tapio, what I know of his work, and especially the work he did for Iittala, he, for instance, designed over 400 tableware series for Iittala. I mean, what an amazing body of work. But I think it also talks about that he wasn't afraid to fail either. We don't talk about all of those 400 glass tableware series today. And I think it's a testament that behind any great design product, there is 100 or 200 or 400 not so successful ones. And I think we tend to forget that sometimes in the modern times that we live in, because we want everything quickly and we want it now. Unfortunately, good things take time, and innovation takes time. And so it with glass as well. You need to respect the time that it takes. You can't blow something and then immediately put it into production. You have to test and try, and there's a journey for everything. And I think Tapio teaches us a lot of that.
I mean, was Ultima Thule a success initially? Do you have the background on that? I know it was on the Finnair flight. How was it initially received?
It was very well received, actually. And of course, it's a testament that it's a great product, because it's still one of our beloved series in the portfolio.
Do you have any feeling for why it was initially embraced? Because I look at it, I mean, it's wonderful and gorgeous, but it's very dramatic and very, very... It's striking. It challenges, I guess, conventions of what glassware can be. I mean, I'm looking at you, Petra, because you seem to be ready to jump in.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, because I think that it was something new. It was like the shape is really plain, but then there is like this texture, there is the pattern. In a way, it's really rich.
I guess that's what I'm curious before we come across to you, Tsuchida, because we've got to contextualise this exhibition in a moment. But this courage to do something new, Tapio's obviously legacy with Iittala, looking to the future. How do you balance that, this heritage? And this is always, I feel like, going to be a discussion for Iittala. How do you balance the heritage of the brand and designers like Tapio with what you want to do in the future?
When I get into a tricky situation, when I don't know quite what to do, I always ask myself, okay, well, what would Tapio do? What would Alvar Aalto do? What would Aino Aalto do? And I think the question often is that they probably would just really try and look to the future. Of course, we have to respect the history and the past. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here today if we didn't. But when I talk in the context of Iittala, we also have a huge responsibility to make sure that we bring forward new ideas, innovation, and continue on the path that designers like Tapio set us on. So in a way, I feel like I stand on his shoulders a little bit to just really make sure that we try to define every day how would the future of Finnish design look like. And that is, of course, a huge challenge, but here we have some great inspiration in the great masters before us.
You talk about standing on shoulders. There's some lovely photos of him here. He looks pretty strong. I feel like Tapio could handle you standing on his shoulders. Tsuchida, I want to bring you in now. I mean, this is amazing that we've got Finnish design being shown here in Tokyo, in the heart of the city at the Station Gallery. Tell me about your personal relationship with Tapio Wirkkala and when you first discovered his work.
Yes, I've always been interested in Nordic design. One of the reasons was special features of Nordic design in Wallpaper magazine in 1990s. The article inspired me, so I traveled to Scandinavia in 1990 for the first time.
So it was seeing the article that motivated you to travel. That's a beautiful way of doing things. I mean, I'm also wanting to kind of contextualize the exhibition. Tell us a little bit about Tapio Wirkkala and how he's perceived in Japan. You were obviously motivated to go and visit the Nordics off the back of seeing a story, but what about once you came back? Give us that kind of background.
In that trip, I bought a Tapio Wirkkala's glass dish that was studio piece, and I was drawn by it by intuition. And about this exhibition, Wirrkala is regarded as one of the most important Finnish designer in Japan. So, of course, Ultima Thule is very well known. But now many people know the full scope of his work. This exhibition is a great opportunity to make his unique and overwhelming presence known.
And I mean, we see the scale of the work here, as we've talked about. There's lots of it on show. This is a chance, I guess, to present it to people that are visiting Tokyo, locals, international visitors. But also tell us how Tapio's work and the work of other Nordic designers influenced designers in Japan.
Tapio Wirkkala won gold medal in Milan Triennale in 1950s. And then many Japanese designers were paying attention at that time. The designs of Wirrkala and other Finnish Nordic designers greatly stimulated them because it was important to blend Japanese locality into modern design imported from Europe. So Nordic design was a good reference to Japanese designers.
And I feel like we kind of still see that legacy today. Sometimes there seems to be this amazing parallel, I guess, between the two countries. I mean, tell us a little bit about that. How do you see those parallels? Is there similarities in terms of craftsmanship? I know you visited the Iittala factory. How does it look today?
In Japan, many people feel empathy and admiration for Nordic design, I think. So because Japanese craft was very close to nature until recently, this point is a similarity in Japan and Finland. But these days, Japan is urbanized rapidly. Nature is not abundant in the city. So we Japanese admire design that makes feel as nature. And I visited Iittala factory 5 years ago. The space of the factory was rough and lively, I think, and extremely delicate pieces made in the place. I felt sophistication there. This is the same at Japanese craftsman workshop, I think.
I think you've given Iittala a tagline as well. There's a sophistication to it. I don't know if we're going to see that in an advertising campaign, but maybe. And I guess just finally, seeing this exhibition in the Tokyo Station Gallery, I mean, what does this mean to you? What does the Ultima Thule collection mean to you? Paint that picture for us.
Yes, I was born in and raised in Hokkaido, northern part of Japan. So I had many opportunities to see melted ice, wild animal, birds. So the works by Tapio Wirkkala remind me some kind of memory. So Ultima Thule is very that one.
No, it makes sense. I don't know if you've got ice fishing in Hokkaido, but maybe there's some sort of parallel there. I want to kind of bring us all back in here together, and I'm going to ask you the same two questions. Petra, maybe we'll slowly go along the line. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to go along the line and then we're going to work our way back up. But I mean, to start, how do you hope people react to this exhibition?
I hope that they will find something they haven't seen before. There is this like part of nature, but also geometry, all the materials, and see also the Tapio's humoristic character behind what you are looking around here. So taking something like jumping in a way like into the fairy tale. And for me, and I hope that also for you, if you take a deeper look and read the quotes in a way, it's like a fairy tale.
What do you hope people take away from it?
Yeah. Wirrkala's style has the power to attract people intuitively, I think. So I hope everyone enjoy it, and people who have never been interested in Nordic design or design itself.
Janni, reactions? How are you hoping people react to this?
I hope that people sense the free spirit that I think Tapio was. He clearly was not afraid to challenge himself. And I believe that true creativity, true artistry always needs courage. You have to have the courage to ask the questions that nobody else does. And you have to have the courage to do something daunting every day. And I also hope that people sort of appreciate how he was really able to master the marriage of art and commerce, which we all designers try to do, right? There is beauty and function in everything, which to me is a beautiful legacy.
Is that something that you're going to take away from this, or that you hope other people take away? Like bring it into the world, art, commerce, coming together?
Both. And I think, of course, we are in this beautiful gallery, which already gives us the backdrop that we are looking at something beautiful and delicate. But there are also a lot of products which are for everyday use, like the Ultima Thule, for instance. It's extremely beautiful object, but actually it's not something you take out just for a special occasion. It's for every day. And I think there's something really beautiful about that.
Every day is special. I think that's a lovely message. Tsuchida, closing remark. I mean, any other takeaways you hope people have from it?
I think today the boundaries between design, craft, art are becoming blurred. I think there is a great possibility for them to merge. So many of the Wirrkala works are the fusion of design, craft, art. So I think it's an ideal style. So I hope the exhibition will be an opportunity for many people to recognize such possibilities.
I think that's, again, it's almost building on the commerce. We're talking about the blurring of commerce and art, but also blurring of art, design, craft. We're seeing everything kind of mixing together here. In many ways, Tapio pioneered that. Petra, the closing remark. We've talked about how you hope people react, but equally, once they've been in here and had the initial response, what do you hope they take away from this and bring out into the world?
The feeling. It's really, that was a big question and really hard to give you an answer. But I think that take part of the legacy. I think that this is a really good cut into the Tapio's world, not forgetting root and the sculptures. If you look this one, so what kind of 3D printer Tapio has had in his mind. And then there is the Ultima Thule. There are so many, and the stories. When going home, then Googling and going deeper and maybe coming to Finland and coming to visit Emma, where we have the permanent exhibition space. So it's like, and relaxing, taking a deep breath and maybe coming back again.
That was Petra Wirkkala, Janni Vepsäläinen and Tsuchida Takahiro. Visit the Sculptor of Ultima Thule at the Tokyo Station Gallery until the 15th of June 2025. Or join in after as it tours across Japan with stops at the Atami City Museum of Art, History and Culture and the Museum of Modern Ceramic Art in Gifu. But for now, that's all for this show, produced in partnership with Iittala. For more design discussion, tune into Monocle on Design, airing Tuesdays on Monocle Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Nick Manise, goodbye and thanks for listening.